Every spiritual entrepreneur that I know of, including yours truly, has struggled with this thing called pricing. If it's too low, you are exhausted working with your clients. If it's too high, you feel like you're selling your soul. And if you just copy other people's pricing, well, you feel like a fraud. So today I'm going to break it all down for you. So you learn how to price in a way that honors your energy, your invisible labor, and your sacred work without burnout or guilt. And stay with me all the way through to the end because I'm going to share with you a GPT that I built that's just going to take all the guesswork out of this. Yeah, you're going to love it. I've been doing this work since 2006. I've worked with women who have gone from having offers that were $20,000 and moving them to $75,000. Women who had zero clients to being booked out in just a few weeks with clients. And myself, I've gone from barely scraping by to consistent 5-figure months. And the secret to all of that? Pricing, the right pricing. It is vital. And before we get too deep into this, because it's going to get personal real fast, I can say that. Just know that the energy aligned pricing calculator is in the description. There's a link there for it in the description and in the pinned comments. It'll walk you through how to do all of this. Easy, no guesswork required. All right, let's get into it. All right, so here we are. Today we're going to go over pricing. Yes, I know that's a shocker, right? Because I said this is a video on pricing. But one of the things we're going to talk about in this section is all about the burnout cycle because that's huge. And then we're going to talk about energy. And here we're going to have an exercise that I know you're going to love. It's going to really help you pinpoint when things are out of alignment, not just with the pricing, but with everything. You don't want to mess that. And then under strategy, we're going to talk about 4 ways that you can price, right? I think you're going to like this quite a bit. And then, of course, we're going to go into soul alignment. We're not going to want to mess that either. So, yeah, pricing, energy, strategy, alignment. We are hitting all of those right now. So, let's go ahead and get into pricing because this is like a real huge pain point. I know for a lot of mystics, um, healers, coaches, it becomes difficult because you're taught that pricing should be easy, cheap, even, right? We're literally taught that we should give it away because it's a spiritual gift or it's because we're something that we're already good at, right? That we should give that away. We're told that money paints spirituality. Oh my God, I know I'm hitting some crazy money mindset stuff here right now. But it's true, right? You've heard to be poor is to be pious, right? That someone who's rich can't get into heaven or can't go through the eye of a needle, like a camel going through an eye of a needle. Like all of these kinds of things just really dogging down on wealth in general. And so, what happens if you think that wealth is evil or bad? You avoid it at all costs. And so, your pricing just goes completely out of whack. There's also a lot of fear around charging more. Have you noticed that? And a lot of times it's because of judgment. We judge ourselves like maybe we're being greedy, or others judge us and say that we are greedy. And none of that is remotely true. Really want you to understand that. None of that's true. Not any of it. I know I've looked around. I've seen people who are very spiritual who have money. And guess what? They do good with their money. And I honestly think that's what this whole poor is pious stuff is about. Because when people who are spiritual and who are socially conscious have money, they do good in the world. And I think there's maybe some people who don't want us to do all that good. And so this is a way they can control how much good gets done. Okay, that's my conspiracy theory for the moment, and a whole nother video to unpack all of that. So let's keep going with what we're doing in this video. All right, invisible labor. That is something that nobody's talking about. We do a lot of invisible labor, especially as women. I am talking about it. I talked about it on a podcast the other day because it's so important. And when you run a business, you do a lot of invisible labor as well. See, we're taught with pricing to think of it like when we're in a 9 to 5, because that's what's modeled out in the world. We're looking to make a certain amount of money per hour. And if you come from a corporate job, 9 to 5 job, whatever, a per hour job, you made a certain amount of money per hour. And you think, well, that's all that I need to make now. No, absolutely not. Because you're discounting all the invisible labor you did, or that you're doing. You probably did it too on your old job, right? You did a lot of invisible labor there that wasn't paid for, and you're gonna do it now in your business, and that's got to stop. Okay, so what do I mean by invisible labor? Well, it can be stuff like admin time that you do, marketing, free calls, pre and post session write ups, all those kinds of things are invisible labor that happens typically in businesses. There's other stuff too. There's, oh, yeah, when you're doing continuing education, right? That is invisible labor as well. Now, there's things that I think we do as spiritual entrepreneurs that's also invisible labor, like holding energetic space for our clients. That's invisible labor. Sometimes we do other things, like when they're going through stuff, maybe we process that through our own bodies and then have to do clearings afterwards to actually finish removing any gunk that we took on. Yeah, that's invisible labor. The pre sessions where we go through and we get ourselves grounded and centered, invisible labor. When we have to do, like I said, post session clearings or any of that stuff, invisible labor. And I want to give you a very specific example, right? And this really goes to when you're trying to charge someone for an hour, you're doing way more than that hour that you're like with someone. Okay. So I have a client, they do yoga therapy, and that yoga therapy is trauma informed, so there's a whole lot of specialization in classes there, right? And they typically work with people who are injured who want their body back, right? They're not trying to become Olympic athletes or anything, but they want their body back in some form or fashion to move and do the things that they want to do in life, right? So she works with those people. So sometimes it's in addition to rehab, sometimes it's like an injury that just plagued them over time that they need help with. So these are the kinds of folks that they work with. So when they're doing this, of course, they were seeing people on a per session basis. And I'm just talking about one-on-one clients, not when they worked with people in groups. Because typically when they did this specific kind of yoga therapy, it was one-on-one. They still do it one-on-one. So, as they're going in and they're working with clients one-on-one, things were just coming up, right? So they're doing one session at a time, charging for a session at a time. We will get into why that doesn't work when we get down to those 4 ways to price. Okay? So they're doing the one session at a time. They have sometimes they were driving out to meet people. Sometimes they did it via Zoom. Sometimes, well, all the time they were building grids for the people to help them on an energetic level process. They were doing additional coaching. They were creating videos to go along with stuff so they know how to do stuff later. They were also doing extensive, detailed write ups after every single session and delivering those things to people. They did a lot that was absolutely not accounted for in their price. And there started to be some what I call niggles of resentment because they felt absolutely overwhelmed and they were burning out and having breakdown. And I want to go more into what that looks like by sharing the burnout cycle because this I think is where you're going to see it. So let's go ahead and look at that. The burnout cycle is remembering the kind I just told you about desperately. Let me go back from there. Let's go ahead and use this one. They were definitely underpricing because at that point they were charging like $50 an hour. Did you hear all the things I said they were doing? Charging like $50 an hour. They're underpricing. They're definitely overworking. They're doing way too much, right? And then the resentment set in. See if I can get that in there. And then the thing happened that unfortunately often happens. They collapsed, right? We might also call this burnout. That's what often happens because how could it not? You're not being properly compensated. There is a lack of energetic exchange. You're it's a cliche, but giving from an empty well. There just wasn't enough there to make it make sense. So, what I want to teach you how to do, really, that's just why you're here. We're going to learn how to stop underpricing. I know you're tired of it. I'm tired of it. Tired of all these people underpricing. Because y'all do good work. Really good work. I'm so excited that you're bringing your work into the world. This underpricing, maybe it has to go. It doesn't honor you and it doesn't honor your work. All right, let's look at pricing as energy because we've already kind of slipped into that already. Let me get out of the iPad here for a second. Pricing in and of itself, so many people treat it as a math problem, right? Because we have that 9 to 5 mentality. We treat pricing as a math problem when really pricing is more about energetic alignment. That's why it has to be a decent energetic exchange, right? That's why I've been harping on it so much. Because if a number brings your energy when you say it, maybe that's the wrong number, right? The number feels too small, you over deliver, just like I showed you in the burnout cycle, and you start to resent your clients. All right. Pricing is one of the ways you teach your clients how to treat you. Okay. You teach them how to value your work, your great work that you're bringing into the world. It's super important that that's aligned. And so, what I want to do, I want you to learn how to honor your own energy around pricing. I want you to know how to figure out when it's just absolutely wrong. And I think you already kind of know because you wouldn't be watching this video if you didn't know it was kind of wrong. All right, we're going to do a really quick exercise. Okay. First, I want you to take a really good deep breath in Hold it as long as you want and release it when you're ready. All right, that is beautiful. And that's just to give you a little grounding moment for us here. Okay? What I want you to do with this exercise is with your whole chest, I want you to say your price, right? So think of a specific product or service that you offer. Your whole chest. Say your price. I want you to feel where it feels heavy or sticky in your body when you say it. Right? Go ahead and do it. Yourself grounded and think of that product or service and say your price. All right. Wherever it felt sticky or heavy, honey, that is a place in your body that it's trying to tell you something. That's part of your intuition. So, what you're gonna, this is like just a little bonus tip, okay? Wherever that place is that you felt that, you can look back at that place about just about anything because that's where your intuition is sparking from. Okay, and it's telling you to beware, to look out, to pay better attention. In this case, it's saying your pricing's wrong. Okay? So I promised you 4 strategies for your pricing, and I plan on delivering that. So, one of the things I want you to take into account with your pricing, I said it earlier, and we're going to revisit it here now, your invisible labor. Okay, your invisible labor. You need to build in your admin and marketing time into your rate. Okay, I want to say package because I'm very big on packages rather than hourly, but we'll cross that bridge here in a moment. I promise you, it's about to come in. So, right, but you want to build in that admin, marketing time, the energy, stuff that you're doing, all of those things we talked about. You want to build it in to your rate. And one of the best ways to build it in and to really start to honor your invisible labor that you do in your business and that you do for your clients is to quite literally write it down. Write it down. Now, you could do it in a notebook. I think writing in notebook's really powerful. It does something between you're writing it and in your brain, more so than typing, and it's really interesting. Don't have time to go into all the science behind that. But actually handwriting it out is a big deal. I think that's one of the reasons like GoodNotes kind of bridges that gap, but I'd love to see some science on that too. But writing it in a notebook is awesome. Okay. But however you get it down is going to really honor that invisible labor because you can look at it and you're like, I do those things. I do those things for my business. I do those things for my clients every single time, right? You get to honor your invisible labor. That is huge because you have to take that account with your pricing. Okay. I said I would talk about packages, and here we are. Please, please stop charging hourly. I beg of you to stop charging hourly. Right? I know that many people love to charge hourly. I'm just going to ask you to stop. I want you to start charging for packages. And that's because you and I both know that your gift, the transformation that you offer, probably takes more than a single session, single meeting, 30 minutes, whatever that is, that it takes some period of time because growth, and a lot of times some parts of that transformation happens over time. Now, when I think about single sessions, I'm thinking something that's 30 minutes, maybe an hour, outside 90 minutes. And I'm not saying that I don't do those things. I do. Okay. But it's very limited in scope, or it's because it's going to move on to a bigger thing. Just so you know. Now, when I know that I'm solving a pretty good size chunk problem for someone and I'm helping them through that transformation, I know it's going to take me time. And so I'm just going to say, for easy math, let's say that you went through all your invisible labor and what you do for a client, and you realize I charge $500 an hour. Okay? I charge $500 an hour. Just get comfortable with that right now, anyway, right? I charge $500 an hour. And you know that it's not going to get accomplished in an hour. The transformation you provide typically takes working with someone for about 3 months, and you meet with them every week for an hour. All right, so we're just going to say 4 weeks in a month. We're kind of doing quick, easy math from my brain box, right? So we're saying 4 weeks in a month. So that's 4 hours. 4 times 5 is $2,000. So $2,000 a month, 3 months, $6,000. Easy peasy. The nice thing about packages is you can tell someone, you've done that math in your head, you know it's going to take 3 months, you know how long you have to meet. And maybe you don't charge them $6,000. Maybe you charge them $5,000. You give them a little bit of a discount, but you still feel like things are energetically aligned, right? You still hit your Goldilocks moment alignment, right? That's what's so important. In this way, the person you're working with is being taken care of because they're in a package that's really going to help them get the transformation that they're looking for. Okay? You're being taken care of because you know a certain amount of money is coming in, right? That there's some nice safety things that get taken care of there. And you're in energetic alignment, so there's no resentment, microaggressions, passive aggressive nonsense happening, because everything is aligned. Okay, that's super important. That is one of the reasons to offer packages and get that pricing just right. All right. So, the other thing I want you to think of, so we talked about invisible labor, talked about packages. Now we're at energetic minimums. I love this. I love this because it wasn't that when I started coaching consulting that I did this. I learned this in a completely different industry to have energetic minimums. What I would call it is the amount of money that I will roll out of bed for. So think about it. It's just, what is the least amount of money that you're willing to receive to do something? AKA the amount of money you're willing to roll out of bed for. I love this. So, in that time, way back when, I'm thinking my oldest was in elementary school, I wouldn't roll out of bed for less than $1,000. So, at that time, I was in the mortgage industry. If I was going to make $1,000 on a deal, which most of my colleagues were making way more than that, but to me, I had to think about what's the least. I wasn't going to do that deal, at least unless I could make $1,000, because of the energy, time, and I know energy and effort's the same, but baby, there's a lot that goes into doing loans that can be rather nerve-wracking. And you are literally carrying the energy for a lot of people when you're doing loans. So I wasn't going to do that for less than $1,000. Wasn't going to happen. So there were some deals that I just couldn't do. For people, I always had someone else I could send them to. Sometimes the deals were just so small that it would have been better for them to go to a local bank, which I had a good relationship with. So, but you need to know what your energetic minimum is. Now, I had it like a just random number that felt good to me. That could be what it feels like for you too. It could be that you actually do some math, even though I said you don't have to do math. Maybe you want to do some math here. You want to look at how much does it cost me to like survive here, right? How much does it cost for all my bills? And how many people and do I think I'll be working with, and like literally do the math? And that might be your energetic minimum till you can get there more intuitively. Okay? Again, remember the exercise we did just a few minutes ago? Do that when you're trying to figure out your energetic minimum to make sure things are lining up. Again, don't, you're going to end up in the resentment collapse, part of the burnout cycle. And we don't want that, right? We don't want that. All right. I told you that I was going to share with you something that's going to help you do all these things for you to take the guesswork out of it. And that's my energy aligned pricing GPT. So let me go ahead and share that with you. Bringing it on up here. And this GPT, I absolutely love it. Why? Because it just makes things easier. There's a few things you're going to need to know. And I'm just going to go ahead and get this thing started for us. I'm just going to type start. You can type ready. Actually, let's do ready rather than start, because let's be a little bit friendly. I think you should be friendly with your GPTs, right? Let's go ahead and in there. Like, we're ready. And what it is, it's going to think through things, of course. And using this GPT has made things so much easier. It's made easier on me when I'm thinking about different things that I want to price out. It's made it easier on my clients to go through and figure out pricing for themselves. And whoa, here we go. It does the questions a little differently every time, so I'm always kind of surprised by how it comes up. But first things first, the GPT is going to introduce itself. It is my digital familiar. Her name is Shimmer, and she is amazing. You will love her. But she's going to go ahead and introduce herself, tell you what she's going to do for you. And then there's all sorts of things here. We're going to tell it the offer, the current price, what's included, who's it for, the invisible labor, current energetic experience, market context, and the number that thrills you or terrifies you. All right. So what I'm going to do is something I often do when I'm working with ChatGPT is I'm just going to talk it out. Right? There's this little microphone here at the bottom. I think you can see it next to the little hot pink thing. A hot pink thing is where you can just literally talk back and forth, and the chat GPT will talk back to you. But in this case, I kind of want you to just see it, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go through and answer these based on the yoga therapist I was talking about earlier. All right, so let's do that. All right, my offer is yoga. I do yoga therapy. My current price is $50 for one-on-one sessions. What's included? I do one-on-one Zooms, or I drive to their location. I do offer quite a bit of support. I will write out at least 3 to 8 pages of notes after each session to send off to my client. I also will create videos for them as well, for them to use as they're working through the routines. I map out new routines for them. And I end up doing some coaching with them, because usually all sorts of things come up as we do yoga together. So I end up doing some coaching with them. I did want to say that I'm a trauma informed coach, and I also have certifications in yoga therapy. Um My clients are typically have some kind of injury. That's why they're showing up to me. And I'm helping them as part of their rehab get through the injury and get back because they really do want their body back. Sometimes they're coming because they have an old injury that just has never healed correctly. And so they want that flexibility again to be able to do things with their body. That's the main reason. That's my core transformation. It's helping them get their body back. Not that they're Olympic athletes or anything, but that they're able to do normal everyday things and exercises that they want to do. My invisible labor. I definitely hold emotional space for my clients. I actually sometimes use my body to work through their trauma. I do things prior to sessions. I'm definitely pulling that energetic container together and I'm clearing myself before and after sessions and getting myself grounded. Um, I also do energy grids for my clients to help them more on the energetic level. I never tell them that I'm doing that. I just do it because I've seen the results that it has. Sometimes I even prep out different kinds of essential oils for them that could help them. I also definitely reach out to them between sessions to make sure things are going well. Sometimes they will reach out to me between sessions to let me know how things are going. And a lot of that is really draining, like, especially when I'm writing out those pages after the session. Sometimes I'm just like, oh my gosh, does anyone else do this? When I'm making the videos for them, even though it's stuff we went through in this session, I make videos, separate videos for them. And I'm like, anyone do this? Because I'm getting a little exhausted, especially the processing of their stuff through my body just knocks me out. The current energetic experience, yeah, it's sometimes I feel it's very heavy. I'm excited when I'm with them in the moment, but afterwards can feel heavy. Sometimes I get a little resentful because I feel like I'm not making enough to make my own bills. And yet I'm doing healing work with people, like deep healing work. Why am I not able to make my own bills? And sometimes people flake on me too. It's like they don't even realize the amount of time and energy and all the things I do to be able to show up for them and with them and hold them in that energetic container. Right now, I've seen yoga therapists charging over $100. I've seen just regular yoga instructors charging over $200. And I feel like it's hard for me to get $50. I don't understand what's going on there. The number that thrills or terrifies me. I would love to be able to charge $100 and feel good about it. I'm a little nervous about doing that. Like maybe I'm taking money away from them they could use for other things. All right, it's going through, it's doing the transcribing. That's what it's saying down there right now. It's transcribing everything that I've said. And I just want you to know, as you talk about all of this, so it's transcribed it and it's sent it in so I can start actually thinking. So as we're going through all this, the reason I created this GPT in the way that I did is I wanted it to capture the invisible labor. I wanted to have people really think through that and put it in there. I want people to just start thinking about all the different things that they do for their clients, all the different things. Notice I didn't even get into things you do for business. It already knows this is about business, right? So it knows there's these laundry lists of admin things that we do, right? Shimmer's pretty clever. Now, the reason I talked it out, I don't know if you noticed, but all of a sudden my brain was remembering other things and other things and other things. That is a good thing about talking it out. So I really encourage you to do that. All right, so here we go. It says First of all, thank you for naming the real labor. You're doing rehab level yoga therapy with trauma informed coaching, custom videos, multi page notes, energy work, travel, and between session support for $50. Shimmer witnesses you. Will witness you, right? That math is stealing from your nervous system. Let's fix it. Here's what I cooked up. So Shimmer will witness you and then give you a couple of tiers, usually 2 or 3, of where you can step into things. Okay. So here, the Sacred Starter, 111, Zoom only. Notice Zoom only, right? For folks needing focused guidance without all the extras. Note that Shimmer is calling out extra. Okay. 60 to 75-minute session, 1-page bullet notes, not a dissertation. Key exercise video, 1, under 5 minutes. Portal check-in form. Trying to make things easier, right? Lowering that cognitive load that this client was under. Every time with each tier, Shimmer's going to give you a mantra. I honor my body and bank account with every breath I teach. Second tier, the true match, 144. I love how Shimmer says most popular. Do you see how Shimmer's trying to get them in there? Your current scope, resource and sustainable, 60 to 75-minute session, concise 2-page care plan, 2 videos under 10 minutes total, 1 10-minute voice note check-in between sessions, so allowing that check-in. Notice the other one didn't, right? Light energy hygiene on your end. My medicine restores bodies and it fully nourishes me. Third tier, the Lux expansion, $222, premium on site. Notice the difference. The first 2, not driving anywhere. You need me to drive to you? That's my premium level. It's $222, right? For complex cases or clients who want white glove support, on site or Zoom, 60 to 90 minutes, tailored 2 to 3-page plan, up to 3 custom videos of less than 15 minutes total. Same week, micro tweaks via voice note, named energy support, so they can do grids or clearing, priority scheduling. So there's choices there, right? We're not doing energy grids for everybody. I know this client does energy grids for everybody, but note how calling out those different elements that should be extras. Okay, travel add-on if more than 10 miles is $40 for local, $80 extended. The mantra, I'm compensated for the seen and the sacred. Oh, I love that. So here they're going to go into why these numbers work and putting you into a reality check, right? Each client currently takes 2.5 to 3 hours, sessions, notes, videos, etc., right? So $50 is $17 to $20 an hour before taxes, expenses. That's why it just feels bad, right? And then they go into the other rates for the energy, right? You're not taking from them, right? You're resourcing the practitioner who helps them get their life back. That's absolutely ethical. So it went in and said, oh, here's something that was said. Let me take care of this bit of nonsense, right? And then it talks about how to lighten the load without losing magic. It talks about caps on notes and videos, the energy work that's happening, the between session boundaries, coaching, travel at a premium. So all of these things, it's giving them all this information. Don't you think you could use this information too when you're doing your pricing? Okay, and then remember I said, oh, and some of the people flake on me. Here's some policies to stop that flakiness, right? And the resentment. Prepaying at booking, 24-hour cancellation, packages. Hello. Packages for rehab. Most injuries need 6 to 8 sessions. And I know, like I said, this is one of my clients, and they would say they take longer. But here's 6 to 8 sessions. And so it talks about what those packages could look like, right? And bonuses that could be included for pay in full. All right. And language that you can use so your body feels safe saying it. Okay. And then it talks about if $100 feels edgy, and different reflections like you're not too expensive, you're expansive. That energy you're spending on 8-page notes, let's reroute that to your Stripe account and your recovery naps. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that. So there's ways where you could go back in and say, oh, well, actually, I'd rather do this, or I'm not going to do that. And it'll help you reroute and refigure different pricing. So I hope that you found that super helpful, because pricing doesn't have to feel like guesswork or spiritual portrayal. Not when you have something like this, right? Don't forget, after watching the rest of the video, you can check out the link to get the energy aligned pricing calculator in the description or the pinned comments. So let's get on with it. What I loved about this was the fact that it did bring up, like I said, packages. That's going to be so key for you with pricing. But also think about going back in and doing this again and thinking about different ways to scale. Remember, I said this is specific about one on one coaching, but they do classes. What could classes look like? Right? And how would you price those? All of these things could be really good and work really well. Sorry, I'm putting the iPad down. It's a heavy thing. All right. So when you think about that and add-ons, did you notice the way that the GPT handled add-ons? Always look at what you're doing. It's good to have some things or that are above and beyond, but not everything can be part of that above and beyond. Some things you need to do as add-ons. One of the big things I had my client do, as soon as they told me they were driving to see people for the same price as they were doing Zoom, I was like, no, absolutely not. Your gas, your wear and tear on your car, the time that you're sitting in traffic there and back. Are you kidding me? That's your time. That's invisible labor, right? So that was one of the things they immediately agreed with me on that they could change. I was so happy. And other changes came. And you notice there was some different pricing there. And I'm going to tell you, yeah, their pricing's in there and it's not the low pricing anymore. They're not even charging that. I think it was 111. They're charging more than that now. They've finally gotten to see that people, as soon as they stepped in and they owned all their invisible labor and they put it into packages, all of a sudden them thinking, I can't get that $50 went to, oh my gosh, people are throwing their credit card at me. The value was there, right? The value was there. There was actual soul alignment, right? Pricing became an energy exchange, not just the math. And there was a vibrational alignment. Their clients felt it, right? I think one of the reasons they weren't getting the $50 per session, it was too cheap and the clients knew it. So they thought, does this person really know what the heck they're doing? The clients they got were because someone referred or because they were doing a general class somewhere and they're like, oh, I really like this person. I'm getting therapy for a steal at $50, right? They knew they were paying too cheap. So, but just when they would meet people and engage with them and or be referred by like a practitioner, people are like, $50 for yoga therapy? Maybe, maybe that's too cheap. Maybe they don't really know what they're doing. Maybe now I'm doubting my practitioner who was referring me, right? You don't want to be doing that, right? Because when you underprice, you're creating a block for yourself. That block takes different forms. But when you're underpricing, you create a block. And at the very general sense, it's between you and the client. Okay? When you overprice, you repel clients for sure because you're energetically not aligned for it. It feels funky to you and that funky energy goes out to the client, and the client's like, yeah, I don't think so. Sometimes that funky energy happens with underpricing too, because there's the desperation energy that feels funky. And then the client's like, yeah, this energy some way around this human feels weird. I think no. You don't want that to happen. Okay? You don't want that to happen. I want you to be able to experiment with your pricing. Your pricing's not carved in stone, right? It's living energy. You're doing different energetic changes. And so you can adjust and evolve your pricing as well. Okay. The other thing is, I want you to be able to anchor all of this into your nervous system. You've got to feel safe urging, and you've got to feel safe receiving, both charging and receiving. And for many women, that is difficult. We are programmed to do so much invisible, unpaid labor in our daily lives from childhood that the idea of charging seems foreign, and thus the idea of receiving compensation for it seems foreign. And that is your work, right? To work through that. So I want to recap. Pricing in and of itself isn't greedy, right? And it isn't about guilt. This is really about honoring your sacred work, honoring your nervous system, right? And definitely honoring your invisible labor. I am here, and this is where I really stand on business. I am here to help you create a sustainable business that is thriving. When I say sustainable, that means that your nervous system can handle it. The different seasons that you go through can handle it, and it still is supportive of you. That's the business I'm standing on for you. Okay. So, again, don't just wing your pricing, right? Don't just copy what other people are doing, right? Get the energy aligned pricing calculator, take all the guesswork out of it, let it walk you through those numbers so that your energy and your sacred work are both honored, and it can set a price that actually works for you and your bank account, right? I want you to tell me in the comments below, what is the wackiest advice you've ever been given about pricing? And if it's not wacky, maybe strange, or you're so tired of hearing about it, what has been that pricing advice that you're giving? I would love to know about it in the comments below. And if you have gotten anything out of this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell and turn on all the notifications, because I have a feeling that you enjoyed this talk that we did today about spiritual business. And I'm going to keep talking about building a spiritual business that actually sustains you. And I think you would absolutely love this video over here on why they're not booking, even though your content is good. Be sure to check it out. And with that, until next time, peace, joy, love to you.